Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Best day of the week. We're back in full strength. This is good. We're getting in a little summer routine here.
I know, before we all start traveling for summer.
Well, Brandy's tied to her desk because it's June and she has sworn off travel in June. So.
Yeah. Because I swore off travel in June, I had like a great South Shore like solo adventure day on Saturday and ate like so much great seafood, got like a ride on my friend's boat for a couple hours. And I did that all because I didn't leave Boston. So
vacation. So you did travel.
I mean, I'm counting, that was like a little day trip. I drove like an hour.
Okay.
I slept in my own bed.
It's always nice.
Yeah, I had a nice weekend with the kids. Went out to dinner on Friday. Actually, we had a baby shower. We had a nice dinner on Saturday night. So kids went to their grandparents. It was a it was a good weekend
for you too.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, my wife was out of town much of the weekend, so it was boys' weekend. Let the chaos ensue, you know.
Boys.
So I survived. No broken bones. No nothing like that. So a good, not so relaxing, but a good weekend.
Wife is back though for this week.
Yeah, she was back at nights. She was just gone all day. So day trips like Brandy was doing, but back, and then she'll be out of town again this weekend. But tomorrow, going to see Messi against Argentina. So not Argentina against Iceland. Jamie is going to Iceland soon, so I invited him down, but he doesn't like Auburn. So
yeah, are you anyone starting to get World Cup fever?
No. I had this. I want to be more excited about it. I don't know. It's just like not catching. I don't know. And I'm in a city where it's happening. Maybe when it actually starts. But part of me, it feels like an old man attitude of like, I don't want to go in all those crowds and go like down into like downtown Boston. But I think I need to find some cool like locations that are doing stuff maybe like out in my neighborhood and not in like the central watch parties.
Yeah. So this is a good tee up into the first article. But so like I'm trying to find tickets and I'm like, why am I like hitting these sites every day? So I vibe coded a scraper to go and look at ticket prices for each match across Ticketmaster and StubHub. So Brandy, if you can throw that up. So this is how tickets are trending, and at least over the weekend, not trending down yet, but $228 for the cheapest match, Czech Republic versus South Africa, Congo versus Uzbekistan. Still not cheap, but not crazy. Under $1,000 to get the whole family in the thing. But it is just an example of how easy it is now to spin up scrapers that can just run however many times you want across all the different ways you'd want to filter or analyze tickets. It's pretty incredible how these things can work these days.
They looked pretty flat. I didn't see a whole lot of dynamic pricing in there, Jamie.
No, this is I'm hoping they just start collapsing. So for those listening, it is just a bunch of flat lines.
Not the prettiest graph, not the most exciting graph, but hopefully we'll see once you get closer to the game. Well, before we get to our first story, the main kind of tag of that, the first story is that someone ran a search on I Hate to Add, and it came back with almost 900,000 searches. So we'll kind of get into how that is kind of how scraping is changing how we all search and what the companies are doing to deal with that. But before we get into the first article, we want to shout out our sponsor, Cloudbeds. They unify your operation, distribution, guest experience, and revenue marketing in one place, powered by Signal's hospitality's first foundation AI model. So whether you're trying to drive more direct bookings, which we all are, I guess, depending on the episode that we're talking about, cut training time, or finally get your data working for you, Cloudbeds is built for what's next. Learn more at cloudbeds.com/GMH, and you can find that link in the show notes. So with all these searches, not Jamie's scraper for World Cup tickets, but for people that are doing really crazy travel searches, there's the cost of all of those is becoming part of the conversation. So who is paying for, the power to look at, and that's one flight that he did almost 900,000 searches for, or not he, the agent did. So what is your take on how you see the whole industry is grappling with not only just the change in behavior, but now there's an infrastructure and cost component that is kind of taking people by surprise?
So, Michael, can you explain just like what this infrastructure looks like sort of behind the searches?
Nope, I sure can't. I do know the more structured your data is, the easier it is to search and query. Now, because the training that AI has, it's going over thousands, hundreds of thousands of searches, which is not how a human typically searches. We have our go-to places. And I think this is where it'll evolve over time with AI. It'll get to know us and know what we like and know what we book. But until then, it's just absolutely buckshot. It is everywhere. Birdshot, not buckshot.
There's someone out there right now who's listening to this just like screaming in their car.
Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
But the reality is like how these agreements sort of get set up for, and these search companies are these OTAs that are then hitting the GDS to be able to like serve all these airline rates, sort of build out the connected trip. It's sort of predicated, and the prices sort of underneath it are that someone's going to search 3, 5, 10 different and combinations of trip length and location to get a sense of prices, and then they're going to go about and book one of those, and that the underlying costs of 3, 5, 10 different searches is reasonable for what the GDSs are going to charge and ultimately what the OTA is going to get in terms of the commission. But
they've got 25 years of data, right?
Like,
it shows their conversion rates. They got
right.
top of funnel, and they got all the way down.
Yeah. And just so we know, like those costs are $2 to $10, so pretty manageable per ticket.
Right. But then if someone has an agent doing those searches for you, that 10 searches, and I think the article, and it does a good job of like pulling out this LinkedIn post that is just like throwing out like, and someone going ridiculous of 800,000 searches, but and a typical agent, if you asked it to go and search like these 5 different these 5 different destinations, these different date combinations to help me find the right search, like, and we're looking at hundreds of searches now, or maybe even thousands, and the unit economics of running an OTA and hitting the GDS to serve that up don't work. And so and the article goes into, I think, some ways they're trying to combat it. One is like catching all the information. Like if you search it, someone searches it once, they can sort of save it and serve it back and not have to hit the GDS to be able to pull that back. And the more people that are searching and the more sort of results that you can sort of have stored and serve back, like they're not getting charged for every single one of those, but that is infrastructure costs on their side. And there might have to be some big changes on either the cost of what the GDSs charge, or that, and these sites are going to try to start blocking these scrapers that, and they're just not going to allow all this search traffic to come through their site.
Well, right now, this is a great example of the clash of like legacy infrastructure and technology that really hasn't had to adapt in a very long time with a new product that is, getting more sophisticated every day. And I think that, I certainly don't think about it when I go to Google and I like look up flights. I'm not thinking about the technology and like the rate systems that airlines are using to load their rates on, right? Like I'm not at all thinking about that, but that technology from the article, it sounds like that hasn't been updated or, advanced in a very long time. So they're playing like a kind of a silly defense where they're like, oh, how do we like prevent this from happening instead of how do we like radically change our infrastructure, which is, I mean, I'm not saying that's simple at all, but like, it's like trying to, I don't know, trying to fight this tsunami with like a small, like sandcastle sand bucket, trying to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Doing that or building a fort around yourself is not going to work either. If you're going to block all AI transactions, you're going to lose. Sabre and Amadeus Sabre did some caching. Amadeus did some machine learning that filtered 175 million unproductive transactions a day. So absolutely massive volume. So we're in this weird transition phase where both AI on both sides is going to get smarter. On the Amadeus side, the machine learning looks to be really productive. We don't know what that is in a percentage, but 175 million transactions blocked today is going to be impactful, whether it's 1% or 80%. But AI is also going to know Brandy and Jamie and Michael better to where it doesn't have to go look at Spirit flights or Frontier flights or anything besides Delta for flights for Michael or Jamie as well. So, we're just in this weird phase. And yes, you don't want to be caught holding the bag, losing money on every transaction for the next, 2 years while this tech transition happens. But I don't know if there's not an easy fix unless your tech team is really good and can spin up some Band-Aids real fast.
Well, and I think it's interesting that the source for this, or the start impetus for this article, that was a guy searching for one flight, right? And so you think about, I mean, now because you can just kind of like talk at any of these agents, and so you have people that are trying to search like, oh, I could go here, or I could go here, and I could go this day, or I could go this airline, like. I can see the potential for just like an absolutely astronomical volume of search queries. And that's just someone like, that could be like someone just like had a couple glasses of wine and is like, la, 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 la. Like I'm just trying to like look at stuff with maybe no even intention to book. So yeah, I don't envy the role of like the CTOs and CIOs that are trying to figure out how to manage not only the new technology and how you adapt to it, but then there's so much security stuff that goes around all of this. Like those two positions right now, stressful.
Well, and Paul had a really good comment. Legacy versus agentic infrastructure is going to be a really big story moving forward. Now, on one hand, and we've talked about this on the show before, legacy systems have all of the data to make the AI models better. But if they're built on the infrastructure that's 25 years old and they've just got all this tech debt stacked up through years, they're going to be looking at in the room talking about, do we just scrap this all and rebuild, or is there another way around it? Jamie, what's your take on legacy versus agentic?
Yeah. And it's been at the forefront of like us thinking about like we're building this new dynamic pricing tool and like how our old infrastructure was. And AirDNA was started in 2014. Like it just couldn't support like what we wanted to do with like a new agentic tool. Like it was better to just scrap everything we had, start entirely from scratch, like to support this new infrastructure and new product. So I think, and John On's comment is, I think, relevant. Like there's, so there are startups that seem to be building businesses on current token costs, and the investors are not investing to keep losing billions. So these startup models will collapse overnight. like if you're building like this new tech on top of old infrastructure, just saying like the math doesn't math, as the fun infographic on Skift showed. But it's I think there's ways to like develop new infrastructure off of the old data. Like the old data sets and old data and models still have everything you need, right? Like you're now like, building for a world where you've got to serve millions or billions of searches. Like it just takes evolving the infrastructure to be able to support it.
All it's trying to do, Jamie, is to make you happy. So it's searching as many areas as it possibly can to make you happy. And there's a quote in the Skift article from Gaurav Roy that says AI-driven interactions are often more contextual and commercially relevant than traditional search patterns. If you have your data clean, structured, AI legible, it's going to help you win, especially in the short and intermediate term, more times than not, as long as you're answering the question and, making AI let Jamie be happy.
But also there's the downstream implications of this volume of like things that are built off of search volume. Like what are all these pricing tools now that like use search as a indicator, where like if you've got all these searches that are now not actually an indication of booking, but are just like an agentic tool, and you're adding a whole lot of noise to any signal that you might be trying or previously able to extract from all this data as well.
Well, also, I feel like the whole kind of all of the internet analytics, especially like any marketing department uses, like I think all these KPIs are just going to get like blown up. We're going to have to like scrap them and start again, because
it's going to be AI conversion rates, right? Who cares how many people are going to see your site? It's going to be, are you pleasing the robots?
Well, I even noticed like my own personal behavior of, instead of going to Google to ask something, I'm just talking with Claude. Like I barely, and I was like, wow, it's so interesting to see how your own personal behavior changes. But before we get into our next AI topic, it's an AI heavy day today, folks. I want to shout out our sponsor, Bilt. They're helping restaurants and hotel F&B teams better understand their guests and create more personalized experiences that drive repeat visits. If you care about loyalty and guest experience, which all of you do, it's absolutely worth checking out. Head to joinbilt.com/GMH and you can find that link in the show notes. So this next topic, Brian Chesky building an AI lab, is we don't really have a ton of information on this yet. So this is kind of just like a call out, something to be paying attention to. But this is not happening in Airbnb. This seems to be a side project. And so it's interesting that this is a side project and not within Airbnb. So do you guys have any initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, I talked to a buddy of mine who's a VC in San Francisco last week, and he's like, it's wild out here. It is the Wild West. It's an absolute gold rush. There's so much money flowing around everywhere. That's, in my read, that's what this is. I wouldn't anticipate it has a ton to do directly with Airbnb. I'm sure he'll have ways to tie it back in. And he's also publicly good friends with Sam Altman. So I'm sure Sam's in his ear of like, oh, you should do something like this, or I wish we had done X, Y, and Z. Brian is a design forward guy. Nothing in AI right now is very design forward. So, I would expect to see something blending those two. But I don't know how much agents care about looks and design, but maybe they do.
Well, he is always talking about, wants to be for like the end consumer, the individual host, the person with their shared room. So maybe this will be for the user interface, give something back to the people, something to look at. Also, we were talking, he just needs something to spend his money on. And he's like,
he's worth what, $10 billion now?
Yeah.
But it's not going to be infrastructure, because you need at least $10 billion to get an AI infrastructure project stood up.
Yeah. He's a guy with very strong opinions on how design and should work, and how user interaction should work in this age of AI. And I think he obviously has an outlook through Airbnb of which to impact a single app and a single sort of user flow. But if he has broader sort of vision on how companies should be leveraging AI in their tools, like I think and it's bold. It's a big bet that he can create a lab that can sort of impact a much more broader ecosystem. So, and I do think he has a lot of power within Airbnb to show other companies the way through, and here's how we did it, and how many companies out there, just think of every single website that exists in the travel space now, like that is essentially copied Airbnb over the years in terms of their design, their UI. And so, but maybe this is a way to go and try to monetize it a bit more.
Yeah, so we'll just keep a lookout. I mean, we're always seeing what interesting things he's up to, and yeah, we'll see. And also, if he wants to spend his money on something else, he can take me out for dinner. That's totally fine. I'm open to it. Just hopefully he never listens to any of my brandy rants about this podcast over the last 5 years. And before we get to our third and final AI article of the day, want to give a shout out to a new sponsor, StayFi. StayFi helps short-term rental operators build direct guest relationships through branded Wi-Fi portals, email marketing, and guest data. We actually were big users of StayFi at Romy, so love Arthur and his team. They turn one-time bookers into repeat guests. So getting those elusive guests that come through with the covered email, the massed emails, that's key for growing your book direct data. So start growing your direct booking revenue today at stayfi.com/goodmorninghospitality. And you can also find that link in the show notes. So there was the big Skift Data and AI conference last week. Lots of really fun nuggets that were coming out of that. And one of them was the interview with Evolve. And the crazy stat coming out of that was that they have deflected 60% of guest inquiries with AI. And that's a huge number. And we're always kind of talking about, how effective are some of these agents at really solving the problems. But, 60% is a pretty significant number, and being able to also focus that human interaction, that need for high level judgment, that's where they're focusing their human attention. I think, this is a really great example of how this can be successful.
Yeah, I think they've taken it step by step and rolled out AI in listings and guest communications and pricing. They've kind of run all the way up and down. What scares me a little bit is their business model in general was basically getting the guests to the property, and then local on-site team or a maintenance person, a cleaning person has to go in and do the local stuff. They're 20 steps ahead of anybody else in this space, but this is a fairly disruptable business model now, more than it was 5 years ago. With the rise of AI. So a lot of these things exist in point solution cases, but Evolve's done a good job of rolling those in already. And I'm sure their headcount or productivity has improved, one or the other, or both. But it is, I'm curious. I'd love to chat with some of them on what their plan is to kind of keep competitors at bay, because I do anticipate they'll start having more and more competition in this segment in particular.
Well,
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jerry.
I would say you think about their business model. It's it's marketing, it's communications, it's revenue management. All three of those things should be they leverage huge amounts of AI to automate aspects of it. And then it just becomes, for a host, do you want to hire Evolve to do all of it for you? Do you want to piecemeal it through your and the different point solutions out there? Do you want to have your PMS try to do it all for you? And each of those sort of charging for it. So, and it could just be that they capture the people that just want a all in one solution. Just sign me up, do it for me. Don't and do a great job, and AI helps them do a significantly better job because the ability to automate it and do it cheaper, or their ability to charge as much for it just gets compressed because of all the other tools that can do it and just as well, but at a fraction of the cost of what Evolve charges.
Well, and that part of, I think we're also in this era where everyone's like, you can just vibe code your own, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, I'm not on that train. Like, not everybody is as like comfortable with all of this technology. I think that there's going to be the need for the evolves, or, the people that are going to do all of these solutions for you. I do agree though that like cost is going to be like, the commissions are probably going to have to come down at some point, because there's just going to be increased competition among maybe even bigger PMs, or PMs that are smaller right now, but they have really tech savvy people on their team. And then I think that's where I think the competition is going to start to come from more like upstart groups that have maybe, these more tech savvy teams. But one interesting thing that I noticed from the article was about owners and damage claims and things like that. And that's one part of the business, like super unsexy, is insurance and damage claims, things like that. And that's a part, like that's something that's a huge component that automating would be fantastic. Like if your people, it's such a time suck of figuring all of that out. So that's like any operator out there with whatever AI tools you're looking at, if you're trying to think, what can I do right now that might really help the business and free up some time? Figure out if your PMS or something you vibe code or something can help you deal with damage claims and insurance, because that's a huge time suck.
Yeah, fair enough. And this probably isn't a surprise, and this kind of ties in with everything else we've talked about today. One of my favorite quotes from the interview is, so my big prediction over the next 12 to 24 months is that we switch from a user experience to an agent experience. And I've, beat that horse dead at this point. But we're already talking about it. We're seeing 175 million deflections from, was it Sabre, a month or a day. That was a day. So obviously this is going to happen. Now, can the companies adapt? Can we as an industry adapt fast enough to capitalize and to make sure we're profitable on it?
So we got a question come in from Gabriel, and I just pulled the data real quick because I love the stats. So they asked,
I love the real-time data pull, Jamie.
Yeah, if Evolve is deflecting 60% of inquiries with AI, what does that do to the guest experience benchmark? Are scores up, down, or flat? That is the real test. So I just pulled point in their communication score and their overall score across Airbnb for the past 12 months, past 24 months. Their communication score past 2 years is up. Past year is flat. Overall score is actually pretty significantly the past 2 years. So the fact that they're able to deflect 60% and at least maintain, if not increase, their overall scores is, and I think a pretty good benchmark. They're still at around an industry average, like overall average for Evolve is a 4.71. So that's not great, but that's pretty typical for a large property management company.
Unless you tell your AI to be grumpy that day, you don't have human emotions on the experience side to weigh. So it makes sense why reviews scores shouldn't change a whole lot. But
well, and also think about, so many of those comments are probably like, is there Wi-Fi? Like, how far is the pool? Like all that kind of stuff. So when you have someone who's irate or they're super lost, they need someone to call them and get whatever, like then you have those human agents that are probably now have more time to actually communicate with them. And then the AI is, kind of, getting rid of the riffraff, or like, here's our FAQs, whatever. So I think that is a bonus. And, but it's a great point that we should be monitoring these, any operator should, if you implement any of these kind of agentic tools, you should be monitoring those communication scores, because the customer will tell you pretty quickly if it's working or not. That's almost real-time feedback.
Yeah.
So, amazing. Well,
to put a bow on the Evolve stuff, sounds like they're taking, we haven't heard a whole lot about them in the industry for a little while for whatever reason. At least I haven't. But it sounds like they're taking all of the right steps that they need to be taking, and they're getting out ahead of this trend. So again, the companies that have the most data have the biggest advantage, so long as they have good, competent CTOs in place that are, putting in steps to be ready for the future, or ready for today, what we're already seeing. So fun episode. Very probably more technical than I'm good at.
Yeah, someone was asking, the question started to get technical, and I was like, ooh. But we are also learning in real time more about all of this. So it's exciting. My emotions about it oscillate week to week. Do you guys have anything fun coming up this week?
Got the soccer game.
Oh yeah.
Football.
World Cup starts. Kickoff June 11th. Mexico, South Africa. It's exciting.
Yeah, I'm going on a one-night trip to Sarasota to go down to Prime, which I'm like, it's a real boomerang trip, but I'm trying to commit to that's a work trip, Michael, so that doesn't count.
I figured. No, it does not count. You gotta go where work demands.
Yes, exactly.
Well, safe travels.
Thank you. Excited to hear about the soccer games this week. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how a bunch of people in Auburn, Alabama react to soccer, because that's not a sport that we have in this city. So I'll report back.
Amazing. Well, thanks to all of our sponsors and all of our listeners. Amazing comments today. We love when the audience participates with us and asks us some interesting questions. And shout out to Jamie for pulling real-time data right there at the end. So hope all of you guys have a great week, and we will see you next Monday.